Welcome back to A Bite from the Money Sandwich, where we provide practical and easy to understand tips and ideas on how to manage your money better, so as to let you retire with comfort and on your own terms. With the cost of living continuing to put pressure on Australian households, many Australians are wondering where they can reduce expenses without making big sacrifices. Today, I'm joined by Emma Fawcett, CEO of Compare Club. Emma leads one of Australia's largest comparison services, helping more than 1 million Australians each year find savings on everything from health insurance and home loans to energy and other household expenses. We discuss where people are feeling the biggest financial pressure, whether loyalty to providers is costing Australians money, and some simple steps anyone can take to put more money back in their pocket. If you're looking for practical, easy to understand ways to reduce your household expenses, this is an episode not to miss. Well, good afternoon, Emma, and I'm glad you could join our show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Well, I think it's opportune because, well, in the last few months, we've had the budget, we've had a war with pretty chaotic interest rate rises, petrol price rises. So if you're talking about cost of living pressures, wow, it's pretty timely. So from Compare Club's point of view, where do you see the biggest pressures at the moment?
You're right. It is an incredibly tough environment right now. We talk to about 500,000 Australians a year about their financial matters, and we survey a lot of customers as well. And people are really feeling it tough everywhere. So we did a recent survey that said about 40% of people are saying they're financially worse off than a year ago. And people are now gone beyond the incidentals and are battling to pay mortgages, they're battling to pay groceries, they're battling to pay utilities. And I think really alarmingly, about more than 4 in 10 Australians, so 40% are using credit cards to pay daily bills, which is really
That's not good.
concerning. Yeah, it's not good.
So, and one of the things from my background is the banks and the financial world. And we always saw, when talking to people, the loyalty that banks had. That, oh no, if I'm with that bank, I've been there with them for 30 years, I must be getting the best deal. Your stats, your research is pretty well not showing that, isn't it?
No. But I think it's really normal to think that loyalty counts, because if you think about it in your personal relationship, loyalty counts. You do favors for people, you expect preferential treatment of people that you have a relationship with. And I'm only 10 months into my role as CEO of Compare Club. And my story of how I landed here kind of talks to that loyalty.
Right.
I was taking 6 months off work. I was sitting at home thinking, how can I contribute financially? And an insurance renewal came in. And I thought to myself, I don't think I've looked at this home insurance for years. And it was 14 years. And so I thought I should check all my bills. So I gathered all my bills and I did the ring around and I used companies like Compare Club and I did some comparison. And it was hard work. Before I discovered Compare Club, it was hard work. But I saved myself $12,000 in one day across my mortgage, my home insurance, my car insurance, my health insurance, and my utilities by actually ringing and asking. And I probably before that moment thought that loyalty was a thing. I assumed I had the best deals everywhere because I'd been a loyal multi-decade customer in some circumstances. And it was incredibly eye-opening that you're not, that the loyalty doesn't exist.
I remember. Sorry, please.
It was just going to say, and then I got the call about saying there was a CEO job at Compare Club 3 days later. And I thought that is the company for me because this is a service.
It was kismet, absolute kismet. Yes. Well, and I absolutely remember ringing up bank because I did see this offer and it was just, oh, no, they're for new customers only. And I'm thinking, yeah, but I've been with you for 10 years. And they said, no, this was only, I thought, loyalty really is worthwhile shopping around. One of the things is if you were then did that, and I could see, it's worth the effort. Well, one is you can actually call these companies up and say, I am thinking of moving. What's the best you can do for me? Is that what when you did that day, when you sort of started 12,000 savings?
Yep. I obviously, used a comparison service for the ones that I could. And then where I couldn't find a good online comparison service or a good, we have smart human beings who help customers through that as well. I rang around myself, but I found you've got to be, and my advice to all your listeners or watchers would be you've got to be prepared to be a bit aggressive. They will give you that new customer discount if you push. You just have to
Right.
push. And I think a really good way to phrase it for everyone out there who's thinking about doing that is, obviously I work for a comparison service. I'm going to give us a plug. But apart from that, be prepared to haggle. Be prepared to say, I'm not getting off this phone without saving money today. How can I do that? Can I have your new customer deal first? And if not that, can I increase my excess? What is my excess? That's how I saved some money on my home insurance. I just went from a $500 excess to a $5,000 excess, and I cut the bill by about two-thirds. Can I raise my excess? Is there co-payment options on health insurance? You just got to keep asking and keep
Right.
asking and keep, and eventually get past the frontline consultant to the manager, because the manager can authorize more. So I would say when it comes to getting around I call it a loyalty tax. It's not a benefit, it's a tax. Persistence beats resistance. So if you are persistent and polite, you'll get where you need to be.
Yeah, I think, wow, that's just in that alone. And I'm not that type of person. So, I get, yes, uh, persistence gets over that resistance. Love that. So when you're looking at it, and you were just saying about, you found savings on your insurance and a range of and health and all that. Where are some of the easiest savings people could look at straight away if they're sort of thinking like, oh, I need a quick win? What would be your tip?
I think human beings are funny in that when we want to save money, we go to the small things. We cut out the lattes, or we don't have the avocado on toast. We might
Yes.
cut the takeaway. But too many of us don't look at the big bills. And as I said, I fell into that. I legit had not reviewed any of my bills for 14 years, not one,
Mm,
because it feels hard. And no one wakes up every day and go, let's review my mortgage today. Like, no one does that. But so
very
people
true.
about these $3, $4, $5 expenses, but not where they're like lots of money is going out. So I would start at the top. I would rank your bills in order of biggest to smallest, and I would just start at the top. And I would I think things like mortgages are really easy to compare, and Compare Club can help you with that. We have mortgage brokers. Insurance is another one that can be really complicated, but there's often good savings. There's so much choice in mortgages and health insurance.
True.
Life insurance, if it's still relevant, you should absolutely shop around on life insurance. And then utilities is super easy. You can get online and compare with a few clicks of a button on utilities and see if you can save some money. So I would just work your way. I would work your way from biggest to smallest, because if you can save $4,000 a year on your mortgage, that's a lot of coffee you can drink. Like, it's
Absolutely.
first, but everyone starts with the small stuff, because the big stuff, it just seems too hard and it's going to take too long. And I don't think enough people know that there's free services like Compare Club who actually will do that for you. Like, we will do the running around for you if you want.
And I think, and especially we're, talking about loyalty before, up until COVID, I think people were far more okay with that. But especially since COVID, and it really has been the last couple of years have been really tough in what we're going through now. I just think, as you said, you save $12,000. We're not talking
Mhm.
$50 or $500. We're talking in the thousands, and it's
Holiday.
just worth that effort.
Mm.
Absolutely, imagine what type of holiday that could be.
Yeah.
Uh, for people over 50, there
Mm.
must be areas like health and that. Where do you see for people? Because we're talking before that, over 50s are probably the majority of the people that call in or speak to your services. Where are the
Yeah.
biggest savings in that area?
Yeah, I would say we service all ages of customers, but we do see a lot of people over 50 wanting to review, I guess, their big bills. And I think the reason why that demographic sort of takes that pause to do it is often the kids are leaving home. So if you think about health insurance, often they've provided cover for their kids, but their kids maybe are getting to 20 or 25 and starting to stand on their own, or they should be
Yep.
standing on their own 2 feet. And so we see that that is a really good moment in time for people to compare health insurance. So we do. So if your kids are leaving home or now adult and you're still paying for their health insurance, that's a good opportunity to review. The other thing is looking at whether you really need that gold cover or whether you can drop back to a silver plus or something like that. We see a lot of, if people are really looking to save money, looking at the level of health cover that you have, because maybe you don't need gold, maybe silver or even bronze plus would be fine. Removing the kids, as I said.
Yep.
And then the extras you no longer need, you might be paying for an extras treatment like massage or physiotherapy that you just don't need anymore. So often looking at that extras list, and again speaking to expert like us who can go, what do you really want? You really want optical, you really want dental, you're not exercising as much anymore, so all these ancillary treatments you don't want. By mixing and matching, and there's so many options, you can save a bit there. Home and contents insurance is another one. As I like those bills are going through the roof because of, Australia and floods and all the fires and things we have. If you look at the premiums in there, they've risen really sharply over the last 3 years. Excess is a really good thing to look at there. As I said, my experience, I was paying $500. I can, if something happened, God forbid, I can pay 5,000.
Yep.
I'll put that back in 2 years of my insurance premium halving. So you kind of got to do the math on the likelihood of something happening in your house and where you pitch that excess. So I would say same for car. Have a look at, car and home, the excess. Can you up your excess? Are you comfortable to up your excess? You'll bring your premiums down a lot. Again, with car, some people pay for windscreen repair and things like that. They add in roadside assistance, but then they're also with the NRMA or RACV. So just
Mm.
being a bit mindful and interrogating what you're paying for and trying to make it match it back to what you really need. And then energy bills. There's so much flexibility with energy policies. We find talking to a lot of customers, they don't realize, for instance, that particularly for older Australians, there are energy providers who will provide you free energy between 11 and 2. Perfect. Your home
Yep.
potentially during those days, you can run your appliances, your dishwasher, your washing machine in those hours, and your power is actually free. So again, knowing what utility sort of policy best matches your life stage and taking the time to work through that. I think there's some areas that I would start with.
Well, you've given us a lot just then. Just that was amazing how many things. But I think one of the things just in just hearing you is, well, does sound complex and does feel complicated, and I don't have the time to do that. What is really you've mentioned a few times, which I really like, you actually have people there. Real people who can answer these questions and even answer I don't know what I don't know about health
Mm.
insurance. I don't know what the difference between gold or silver or what that is and what I'm going to miss out on the extras and all that. But that's what you're saying. You've got real people there who can help you with those questions.
About 400 real people. So I have
400. Okay. Wow. Okay.
I have mortgage brokers, we have energy brokers, we have health insurance brokers, we have life insurance brokers, we do travel insurance as well. And one of the reasons I joined the company as well is we genuinely care about customers. It's a free service. We get paid by the providers on the other side. And we on average spend between 35 and 50 minutes on a call with customer. And we
Okay.
take the time to really understand what you need, like your personal kind of circumstance, and match the right policy for you. And it's not high pressure. If we can't find you a better offer, then it's no obligation. You can take that information. And when, as much as possible, you call us once and we'll try and help you across as many areas as possible. And it is complicated. And I've learned all this in the 10 months I've been here. I
Yeah.
came in a complete newbie, but it is really complicated. Like, which the government is doing the right thing and trying to legislate, to make things fair for consumers. But in doing so, they're adding lots of jargon and terms and tiers, and it's really complicated. We have from our panel of health insurers over 1,900 policies. Like you,
Mm.
you just couldn't compare that as a consumer by yourself. So yes, we have humans, but we also try and wrap around that really smart technology. So if you'd rather do 90% of it online or all of it online, you kind of can. But we find particularly for older Australians, they really value having someone in Australia who has dealt with hundreds of thousands of other customers just like them, who can reassure them that it's really about sort of providing peace of mind, trying to help you, be confident in the decision that you're making.
And it and a lot of it would be, and I used to help when I coaching clients was just do one thing at a time. Let's just have one thing. Maybe it's in this particular example, let's just look at health insurance, and
Mm,
maybe we do that.
mm,
And that's all we're spending. If this month we only fix up health insurance, fantastic. Well, next month we'll look at the mortgage. You don't have to do it all at once, do you?
No, you don't have to at all, but sometimes I would argue just setting we're talking about creating a life admin day,
Right.
July 24th is life admin day and everyone should get their stuff and just spend one day a year doing it because it just creeps otherwise. And I think the beauty of like we recently had a customer come in with us. She came in through life insurance first. She wanted to compare that. And that broker actually helped her get comparisons in every other area. And between the
Okay.
two, of them, it became a bit of a game on how much money that we could save. And we
Wow.
even helped her with pet insurance that we don't even offer because it was kind of a bit fun, and we helped her save $8,400 a year across all her things, and she did that with one call in, and then a broker one of our brokers is like, "Can I help you anywhere else?" And she's like, "Actually, hit me up with all the things," and they kinda work together just to do that, and I mean, life insurance takes a while to do,
Yep.
so probably over the space of a month, but she kicked that off with one call and said,
Okay.
help me everywhere, and then worked through the process.
Yeah.
We very commonly see customers who have an hour or an hour and a half ring in and do health and energy in the one go. So if you've got an hour and a half to spare, you can do those two big bills and walk away and probably have saved yourself between 600 and $1,000 a year.
Makes sense. And one thing, because you've said the word broker a few times, and we've got a mortgage broker that we do, and they only contact us, sent an email through about a week ago saying, "Yep, we've just compared again. It's what you're on is the best we can do, and that's fine." And you just want people working there on your behalf, which they can.
Mm.
Unfortunately, if you do go to if you're with that health insurance, they're not going to ring you up and say, "Here's the best latest offer." But a broker will. That they're representing you basically with all these companies. So that just to me just makes perfect sense. One of the things that is becoming, and I see especially from the financial world and for people over the age of 60, is
Mm.
reverse mortgages. And reverse mortgages, yeah, 20 years ago was a very different world. There were a lot of cowboys, no government legislation, very different now. And I now see that reverse mortgages are something that your company is comparing as well. And I think over the next 10 years, a lot, especially major cities, people are asset rich, but maybe cash poor. And
Yep.
they're sitting on these one, two, $3 million properties and can't pay the bills.
Oh, and we talk to customers like that every day. As I said, we talk to 500,000 Australians a year. And honestly, amongst our older cohorts that we talk with, the amount of customers we talk to where they're calling us trying to save $50 a month on their energy because they're desperate for the saving, but they're sitting in a $3 million house in Coogee. And so, yes, we offered reverse mortgages and have done for a few years. And we've got a really robust panel of providers. And we did that just out of spotting that customer need. Like we have customers talking to us about how they're not putting the heating on for stretches or really scrimping on groceries, but sitting in these huge houses. And when we talk to them about the reverse mortgage and say, there's a solution here. It doesn't have to be this way. I don't think the industry's, to your point, like done enough of a job of changing
Yeah,
that
I
perception
agree.
of what reverse
Yep,
mortgages
totally
is.
agree.
I mean, so we spend a lot of time trying to educate people on that reverse mortgage, we talk about Compare Club being a club, and once you're in the club, we've got your back kind of
Yep.
financially. We wouldn't work. We take that trust and the 6 million Australians we've helped very, very seriously. We wouldn't work with any dodgy industry. And the reverse mortgage products today, to your point, are amazing. They give you so much flexibility and control. You're not signing away your whole. A lot of people say it's my kid's inheritance, and that's
I was about
okay.
to just say that too. Yep.
Yeah, it doesn't you don't have to sign away your whole kid's inheritance, but do your kids really want you not heating the house, or would they prefer that you unlock 200,000 out of a $3 million home and they get 2.8, or 2.6? It's not it doesn't have to be all or nothing either, and yeah, I think reverse mortgages, I'd highly recommend for any of your audience listening to this or watching this. It's worth doing some research on. It's worth, contacting a few people, asking around about it. Those products are great.
And it's also for a lot of kids, and we have to do think about inheritances differently because previously, yeah, you could be, if your parents passed away, the kids may be in their 40s or 50s and they've got mortgages or they're trying to put their kids through school. Well, no, most people now, because they're living longer, your kids could be retired before they receive their inheritance. They don't really need it once they're retired, but you could help them earlier. But again, you're absolutely right. Most kids are saying, "Of course, mum and dad, we want you to have a decent lifestyle. It's not all about our inheritance." So yeah, And the average, I think, reverse mortgage is probably about 10%. So it really is not going to make a huge difference anyway.
And obviously, it needs to be considered. And what we do with our mortgage brokers is make sure that you're considering it properly.
Right.
Across you got to consider against super, the age pension, estate planning, and all those things
Mm,
have to come into it. But I wish more people of the customers we talk to who seem to be doing it a bit tough would look into that as a viable option rather than just discount it
yeah.
straight off the
Yeah,
bat.
I do think over the next 10 years, it's going to just take off because I think people, once they do feel comfortable and they will have the education and they're speaking to people like yourselves. And I thought, oh, okay, it's not those memories, those when they were really dodgy, and it's just not like that anymore. So no, it'll be very interesting how this goes, but I do think they will absolutely take off. So if someone's listening today and we've talked about, it doesn't matter the age group, but if you're sort of saying, your top 3 tips or top 3 things you would look at, or yeah, just tips from if they're wanting to call Compare Club, just a sort of
Mm.
a bit of homework for them to do before they call yourselves, what would you do?
So the first thing I would do, I think it's kind of the journey I took. First of all, grab your bills. It took
Mhm.
me a while to hunt my bills down. Some were in my husband's Gmail, some were in my Gmail, some were paper. I didn't even know who we were insured with half the time. So the first thing is get your bills and kind of get them, know who you're with, know what
Yep.
you're paying, dig out your policies and have them. And then, yeah, go online to Compare Club, fill out an inquiry form in one of our verticals with your biggest bill, and then we'll call you and we'll kind of talk you through it. So the first part, get your bills. Second, decide what's most important for you. The kind of tenure, you might find this interesting. People tend only to compare life insurance every 10 years. They'll
Right.
compare their mortgage every 5 years. They might do health insurance every three, and they're comparing utilities kind of every 18 months. So I would probably start with the ones that are most likely not to have been checked for a while, which is probably your life insurance or your mortgage. They're good ones to kind of start with. If you've had a change in circumstance with your health insurance, definitely worth looking at. But I would probably start with those three. But start with getting your bills because when you do make contact with us, it's going to be much easier if you've got that in front of you some way.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
we'll
Okay.
we'll ask you, who are you with at the moment? What's your mortgage rate? And you need to have sort of having your bill in front of you is going to make those conversations like really efficient.
Okay. I'm just, well, you covered off a lot today in a very, very short time. So really, Emma, thank you very much for being on our show. Uh, One question we always ask of our guest is, what's maybe the best piece of advice you've heard? It doesn't have to be related to Compare Club, but just what you've heard, yeah, that's affected you.
Yeah, so I'm probably going to tell you what my parents told me. My parents, really hardworking people, teachers, shout out mum and dad. They probably listen to your podcast, I imagine. Um, But they said to me, "Get the big bills right and the small ones matter less." And I actually think I've got 3 kids. It's certainly something I'm trying to pass on to them as they get their teenagers a bit older. If you get the big bills right, the small ones matter less,
Yeah.
and never use a credit card. That's been that was drummed into me from early on, and I still try and, live by that. So that's kind of my financial advice. Like, don't buy what you can't afford on credit or buy now, pay later if I'm looking at my kids and their generation and get the big bills right.
No, that makes perfect sense, and a lovely way to end the show. So, Emma, again, thank you so much for your help, and I hope it does encourage a lot of people to actually now pick up the phone or at least go look at those bills and get that because, yeah, that's significant amount of savings, and if I'd rather have that in your pocket than theirs.
Yeah, and if I could just close, like I think, and I've watched it, with my own parents. I think there's a lack of confidence that can happen, particularly as you start to leave the workforce. And I just want to reassure your audience there's people that will help. Like, you don't have to be afraid to have the conversation. You don't have to be afraid of what you don't know. Like, you deserve to get a good deal. You deserve not to be ripped off. And I would just really encourage your audience to pick up have the confidence to pick up the phone, whether it's to a company like Compare Club or just their existing insurer and
Yeah.
ask for a better deal. I think, every consumer has that right and yeah, they should do it.
And I think what you just said, you have 400 people there, real people, and that just makes such a difference. I spoke to an AI person the other day, and you could just tell. No, speaking to a real person, it just makes the difference. No, it's
Yeah,
so important.
100%.
Thank you very much, Emma, for being on the show today. And yeah, enjoy the rest of the day.
No worries. Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. And if you'd like to learn more about Emma Fawcett and Compare Club, you can visit their website at www.compareclub.com.au. Or feel free to reach out to me at admin@themoneysandwich.com or visit themoneysandwich.com website if you have any question or would like to learn more. Enjoyed this episode and want to hear more of A Bite from the Money Sandwich? Make sure you subscribe on your platform of choice so you can automatically receive each episode as soon as it's released. As with every podcast, this information is not advice, as not personalized to your own situation, and past performance is never guaranteed for the future. What we are trying to do here is to provide tips, coaching, and education to help improve your money knowledge, which we believe can only be a good thing. See you next time when we take another bite from the Money Sandwich.